Hey guys, today I was fortunate enough to sit in on a panel discussion that was really awesome and gave me a lot of insight on a few things about myself and the people around me, and so I thought I would talk about that for a second. The discussion that I sat in on was actually a panel of transgender individuals that had all gone through transition, so all of them were born a different gender identity, so male or female, and then since then they had transitioned to the opposite. And it was extremely enlightening, and especially because it was directed towards healthcare professionals, it was really good because we were able to talk to them about how, as healthcare professionals, we can advocate for them and for, I guess, just maybe even just being more sensitive to them, because a lot of times you know things aren't as they would normally appear, and so being professional and still maintaining that client therapist relationship but without overstepping boundaries or maybe saying something that we don't mean to offend them, but we do. So anyways, as I was watching this, I couldn't help but just be so humbled at the bravery and the courage that these individuals had gone through and had put forth to really go through the transition that they had, and seeing how happy they all were and how comfortable they were in their skin, in their same skin that they weren't comfortable with only a few years before, or however long their transition had been. And I had this crazy realization just that maybe not all of us are born with this gender identity, or something that is people are so quick to put in this cookie cutter mold and identify, but none of us really know who we are when we're first born. And I think that our life is kind of this whole transition of us figuring out who we are and who we want to be. And there's times where we aren't proud of who we've been, or we know that we're not acting the way that we want, or we're not putting our best self forward, or whatever it may be, that maybe even you feel as though you kind of don't have an identity, or you don't know who you are. And I just think that it was amazing to really see these individuals and their like metamorphoses that they've been able to evolve through, where before, they were this caterpillar that had no idea how they were ever going to get to this point that they could see, but they saw this light. And yeah, there was tons of turmoil and problems along the way, but they were able to evolve into these butterflies, these amazing, beautiful things that are so happy and so comfortable in their own skin, and so like radiant with this light within them that they didn't have before. And I think that it's so easy to get lost, or to get stuck, or to kind of lose your identity and not really know who you are or where you're going or what you're doing. And then we all need to remember that this whole life that we're living is all a transition, and we're becoming who we're supposed to be, and we have to trust in that process, and we have to realize that if we don't accept every single part of ourselves first, we can't expect people around us to accept us. If we don't know who we are, how are we going to tell somebody else who we are, or show someone else who we are? And I think that's one of the most important things that I learned today, is that these people knew who they were, probably more than you or I know who we are. They knew exactly who they were, and they were not afraid to be that. And that to me is such an amazing, beautiful, courageous thing, that they knew who they were and they ran with it. And I think we could all learn something from that, we don't have to fit this mold that society tries to put on us, and we don't have to be in this cookie cutter, I am this, 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 and this. Like, we're allowed to kind of draw outside the lines a little bit and explore these possibilities and kind of just see where it takes us. I think that that's part of life, is making those mistakes, or maybe the mistake turns out to be one of the best things that you could have ever done. And you'll never know unless you try. And then not only that, but that once we accept everything about ourselves, or there's these things that we maybe used to try to hide from, or run from, or file away in, the mixed up corners of our souls, that we now accept and we embrace almost, that we still have to realize that there are still going to be people we surround ourselves with that don't like those things. And we choose who we surround ourselves with. So I think that once you accept yourself, you have to realize that you need to surround yourself with people that accept you for exactly who you are and love you for who you are. Because I love the quote that, you can be the ripest, juiciest peach in the orchard, and there's still going to be people that don't like peaches. And that's so true. You have all these wonderful qualities that you possess, but there are still going to be people around you that don't like them, and that's okay. That's fine. But to dwell on them and try to win those people over is a waste of time. And there are so many people that will love you for exactly who you are and will embrace every single quality about you, even the ones that you might not like very much, could be their favorite things about you. And I think that it's so important to remember that, to just surround ourselves with people that love us and that lift us higher, and that we don't have to explain ourselves to, because they see who we are and they know who we are. And some of those times when we forget, they can help remind us, rather than these people that were jumping through hoops to impress day in and day out and only end up leaving us feeling lower than when we first started. Which, I think that our true friends and the people that really love us will always leave us feeling better than before and will always lift us higher. And lastly, I just think that it really drove home the concept that you don't ever know what someone's going through, and that it's so easy to judge people from afar, and it's so easy to just see them and just think a certain thing and almost decide their destiny in your own head. Who are you to judge? Who am I to judge? Who are we to decide anything about anyone until they show us themselves, or we give them a chance to prove themselves to us, or to prove who they are, or give us anything to even base things off of. It's so easy to just think that we know and we don't know. And seeing these individuals, these 5 beautiful people sitting in front of me, that from a distance I would never have known their struggles. I never would have known how much they had to go through, even just to be sitting in front of me, looking the way that they looked at that moment. This initial first impression, first impressions mean so much, but to even know what they had to go through to give me that first impression, that this beautiful woman sitting in front of me was a man that felt trapped for years and years and years, and has only been comfortable in their own skin for 3 years now, or that this man with facial hair and a deep voice used to avoid mirrors at all costs because he was a she, and didn't even feel like he belonged in his own skin. I think it was so powerful. It was amazing, because I think that not to try to discount their trials, but that we can all relate, obviously on such a different level. And I was so humbled by the whole experience, but that I'm sure there's times that all of us are trapped in the wrong body, or in our own thoughts, or we don't feel comfortable in our own skin. And it was amazing to see these individuals that figured out who they were, and they were okay with it, and they defended it against all odds. And I think that that's something that we could all learn from, that you love who you are, embrace who you are. It doesn't matter if the people around you don't understand it. They don't need to, because as long as you're okay with it, I think that's all that really matters. And I think that that's how some of the most beautiful people are born, is through that adversity and trial, and maybe even getting lost and then finding themselves again. Finding yourself is such a beautiful thing. So I challenge you to figure out who you are, and to be okay with it and love it and embrace it, and surround yourself with people that love it and embrace it just as much, if not more, than you do. And I think that you'll really be happy with the results.